Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert.
So, we're looking at what we're afraid of. And the idea is, what is our big bad wolf? When we were doing, Madeline and I were in training for linguistics and how to interact with people, part of what we did, and we were in this process for a number of years, was look at trigger words. A lot of us have triggers that when somebody calls us a certain name or a certain word, it triggers upset. Anybody familiar with that? Mm-hmm. Like for me, the word lazy puts me on edge because you can never be lazy. You got to work hard. You got to spend all your time, and that was one of my trigger words. It put me into upset. Now, whatever your word is, it's okay. Just be aware of it. For some of us, it's not good enough. Which is another one of those root things that occurs. For some of us, it is not being connected. In other words, I'm in the wrong group, whatever it is. But we all have these big bad wolves in our background that trigger upsets for us. For example, money. Anybody familiar with the idea of money? And would anybody agree? For some of us, money's a big bad wolf, especially when you run out of it at the end of the month. So what do you worry about when you're in that process is not paying the bills at the end of the month, right? So you understand what a big bad wolf that is, because we have them in our mind. What are we actually creating? Lack. And that happens in love and relationships. Nobody loves me, or all these things. They are our big bad wolves. Now, how come they're there? And see, that's what I want to get into. So we're going to go back to basics. Genesis, everybody familiar with Genesis? And Genesis 1, if I remember correctly, verse 29, it says, we are created in the image after likeness. So let me get in here and let me quote this exactly from a King James Version. Okay? And it is verse 27. So God created man in his own image. Now, what is an image? It's a likeness, an exact replication of what I'm saying. In other words, if you look in a mirror, you see an image of yourself, which is a perfection of you. So, what does that mean? So God created us, each one of you and me, in his own image. Now, the first chapter of Genesis is spiritual. So we have been created in the spiritual image of God. And God is ever-present, omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence in all areas. So what do we have access to? Hello? All of that. Now, we're going to start with that basic, okay? So I'm going to pull my notes out here, and I've got the other side of this. You ready? What it says is, what is it you fear the most? And generally they are lack, health issues, relationship issues, all of the day-to-day type issues that we have to deal with. And we have been programmed by the culture around us to fear that stuff. Now, if our nature is image of God, would anybody agree that God doesn't understand lack, that God doesn't understand lack of health or disease? So all of these things are illusions that have been created in our world by our outside forces. So it goes on and says, where is the domain of heaven? In other words, a lot of us are looking for perfection, looking for heaven, looking for wonderful lives. So where is prosperity? Where does prosperity live? Okay? Where is health? Where is happiness? Where is relationship? Where is love? You ready for this last one? Where is God? You see, we're saying that I'm created in image likeness, you're created in image likeness. And over here, my reality in the human world is not that. So where is that I can find it? Anybody agree that's an important conversation? Because we're all trying to figure out ways to do it. So if you really look at it, our big bad wolves are self-created by the world around us. Now, anybody hear Mike Rowe this week? He was on TV, and I saw a little bit about him. And he was talking about, he's the guy that goes out and does all these jobs, these nasty jobs. And he was talking about that everywhere he goes, they talk safety first. Now, it sounds good, it does. So we have to be protected and helped so that we don't suffer problems. Okay, which is our given, this is our society right now. For goodness sakes, don't hurt anybody, don't do anything, and protect everybody around us. Problem is, if I'm looking for those problems to be protected, and what do I keep finding? You see the counterintuitive idea behind that. So if we're so wired to being safe, we never look at what's out here. Okay? So if I'm embedded in being safe, I've got that big bad wolf here all the time that I have to be careful of, be aware of, protect myself from, protect my kids from, and protect everybody else from. And I'm going to show them how to do it because I know better. So you see what's happening is we are protecting ourselves from anything out there through physical means, through this world, instead of relying on spirit. So where's the kingdom of heaven? Bible says within. Where is God? Bible says within. Where is prosperity?
Within.
Within. Where is health? Within. Where are all these things we're looking for are within, no matter who we are. Okay? So we have built up these bugaboos, if you will, or these big bad wolves. You have to be careful who you associate with, because you might pick up some of those negative habits. You have to be careful walking across the street. You have to do this, you have to do that. And we have this whole list of issues that we have to be careful of. So all these are big bad wolves. Everybody see that? Waiting to eat me. Or waiting to get me. So this issue becomes, where's my faith? Okay, and what is faith? Faith is a trust and belief that things are going to work out for my highest and best good. How do I know that? Well, see, the problem is, now here's the outside world again. How do you know something's going to happen if you can't prove it? And you have to study it, you have to experiment with it, you have to do X, Y, Z, you have to be able to prove it. Where does it say that? How do you know you can say that? And the problem is, would you agree in a spiritual way, there's no way to know that, other than to know it. It's interesting, and some of you know, some of us are overeducated. Because you learn all this stuff of what you should do or shouldn't do. Problem is, the Spirit doesn't know that. And so the realm of spiritual is over here in knowing, not in knowledge. It's a very interesting dichotomy that occurs here. So here we are. We have created this culture around us, and I'm saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, here's us, and what is the impact on us, and what's happening to us? And where are we going? What are we doing? How do we live a lifestyle that we're looking for? And the biggest thing is the word. You ready for this? I can't wait until we get our new church, because we're going to have big overheads, and we're going to be able to use slides, yes, and I'm going to have a big word up there. Everybody ready? Here it is. Risk. R-I-S-K. Now, one of the big issues that everybody in any kind of religious environment says, the key to it is let go and let God. Everybody hear it? Mm-hmm. So you got to let go and let God. You got to have faith. Do you realize how frightening that is to the ego? Because the ego's used to being in control. And the ego's been trained, got to be careful, don't expect too much, don't listen to that jerk, oh my goodness, don't listen to her. And here we're saying, stop worrying, let go, sit down and shut up. Which is silence. Which is totally counterintuitive to the spiritual life. So how do you get those two together? And that's what we're faced with. That's why somebody like me or some of us, I have been, and a lot of people in the past have been, well, I've been in Unity or New Thought for 35 years. So what? What are we still worrying about? What are we still fighting? What are the big bad wolves that are still running our lives? You see, the Bible says that we are created in the image and after likeness. And it also says, which I'm going to pick out over here, Jesus says in Matthew in the Sermon on the Mount, and I better find my glasses so I can read it properly. So it says, let's see, therefore be not anxious, saying what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, or with what shall you be clothed. And you're going to agree. Now we have to add, what are you going to be transported by? What kind of house you're going to live in? Okay, who's your neighbor? All that kind of stuff. And it says, don't worry about that. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added to you. So, what does that mean? In my opinion, what it means is, we're always focused out here, worried about here, and the truth is it's in here. Now, the problem is making that step from the outside world's beliefs and cultural beliefs into the spiritual belief that I'm okay. And that everything around me is handled. And no matter what happens, I'm not going to starve. I'm going to have a place to live. I'm going to have friends to comfort me and love me. I'm going to have a spiritual group to work with. And I might even have a car. Okay? Now, is that too much? Could be. Because the world says you're going to have to struggle and work hard for everything you get. Now, is that a belief or is that true?
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion, see? Now, and that's the issue we're dealing with. But how do I go from, this is what I'm seeing, to, okay, it's all right. Anybody familiar with doubt? So these are the big bad wolves that sneak in. Now, I honestly believe that's the issue of letting go and just letting go and trusting. Carlos Castaneda, as some of you know, his books are famous, and he was asked, how do you know that it's going to work out? Or how do you know that you can fly? Or how do you know that everything's going to be okay? And he said, the only way you can learn that you can fly or not fly is stand on the edge of a cliff and jump off. And hope you can fly. Oops. Now that's a little bit extreme, but the idea is the only way to do it is to do it. To know that I'm taken care of, that I'm protected. And that's the message Jesus had to say. And he said it over and over and over again. And what he said was, the kingdom of heaven is within. Go into your closet and close the door. The Psalm says, be still and know that I am God. It's all throughout the scriptures. And we still don't get it, in my opinion. That's the big sleep. So, am I going to jump off the cliff? No. Am I going to think about that metaphor and the idea behind letting go and letting God? And you see, it becomes, there's a difference between the words and feeling good about it and actually doing it. You familiar with that? It's kind of like, I can make myself feel good, and I can go around and pat you on the back and say, it's going to work out. Yeah. And sooner or later, I and you have to say, okay, I trust. Now, I was listening to the practical metaphysics class this morning, and guess what they read all morning? Yes? Where's Neil? Not here. Okay. But anyway, they talked about faith all morning. And I figured, well, I better look at that. And Eric Butterworth, in his book, has an interesting conversation. So you ready? Mm-hmm. Good. Where did I put him? We're going to work on this too. So it fascinates me that this material is everywhere. So it says, the great secret of demonstration. Now, demonstration is the ability to bring good into my life. Because I'm a child of God, I deserve to be happy, joyful, healthy, and have all the resources that I need, okay? So it says the great secret of demonstration. Remember, the great secret of demonstration is Christ in you. So the Christ is, Jesus the Christ was a title. In other words, Jesus manifested that God within him, which is within you. So it's saying Christ, or that place where God is within you. In you is the hope of glory. So glory is demonstrating everything that you need, demonstrating everything that you want. And then it goes on and says, Christ in you being your own divine pattern. So we keep hearing over and over again, within you is the pattern of the Christ. Within you is the pattern of everything is good. Within you is the image of God. Okay, and then it goes on and says, you were created in the image and likeness of God in the very beginning. Okay? And it's always been so and can never change and will without end. So it's always there. It can't go away. It's there no matter what you do to it. and no matter how you cover it up. Then it goes on and says, and it's always been. The secret is the divine resource that is always within you. Jesus calls it the kingdom of God, and it is always within you as your resource. So it's always there. Now, how come it doesn't manifest all the time? How come I got to worry at the end of the month sometimes? How come I got to worry about diseases? How come I have to worry about backslidden family? How come I still have to deal with day-to-day world? How come prosperity doesn't come pouring in my front door? Okay, gee, you have to open the back door to let it all out. But anyway, the idea of it is we have been overwritten. The script of perfection that we are has been overwritten by the fears and doubts, the big bad wolves that we have accepted. Okay, so it's the big bad wolves in our lives, or the trigger words, or the ideas that have been implanted from the outside world that have overwritten who we really are. Now, the problem with it is it's so overwhelming. Sometimes I think about it. And I know a lot of us have reached the point where, well, I'm going to go back and look at what thought created that problem. Anybody ever tried to do that? And you just get overwhelmed because there's so much stuff. And the truth is that stuff is there to keep you clogged up. There's a divine energy that flows through the universe. Even science has reached a point where they know there's a power for good in the universe. So that power is there to work through us perfectly, clearly. The problem is it's been muddied up with all this big bad wolf thinking. So rather than prosperity and health come through, other stuff comes through. So if I'm worried about something, what's going to show up? That which I'm worried about. That's the great story in Job. So, he is saying, and Jesus is saying, the kingdom of heaven is within. So what's the answer? Go to the kingdom of heaven. Now, the word prayer, and we've discussed this before, but we'll use it again. The word prayer implies, it's really literally translated setting a trap. So prayer is not asking. This, I'm going to read more. You ready? More from Eric Butterworth? I'm going to read a little bit because this is interesting to me. Okay? Come on, where to go? Dun, dun. Okay, the truth is not something by which we can make magic demonstrations or work the magic of faith. It's let go. So the word faith and trust implies let go of the big bad wolves. Okay? Then it goes on and says, let go of the desire for a Mercedes or whatever else you're looking for. Okay? Now, Mercedes is not one of my cars. Been there. Not that big a deal. Porsche, however. Okay? So, it's saying, just to clarify, okay? Now, as it were, and you simply get in tune with the divine flow within you. So let it go. We have been trained, and again, I'll go back to my training and the hours and all the miles I covered doing this type of training. You got to think of something, then hold it in your mind over and over again, and sooner or later it'll manifest. But this is saying let it go and get in the flow of who you really are. Then it goes on and says, and God mind, after you do that, and God mind, page over, knows your needs. So Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, said, don't worry about any of that stuff. God knows. Because the inner workings within you are perfect patterns of everything you need. And that perfect pattern's there, ready to manifest for you. Okay? So, it goes on and says, you may still get the Mercedes, Porsche. Okay? But it will come easily and effortlessly and in a marvelous outward demonstration of what is further revealing. In other words, it comes from within you. Now, for years, the conversation has been, well, I'm going to force it through. I'm going to say affirmations over and over again forever and ever. So if you're forcing it, what are you doing? Yeah, see, you're doubting that it's going to come through. Rather than just letting it go and knowing God's going to handle it. Tough one, it really is. Because I can make this happen. I can do this. So it keeps saying over and over again, there's a way to go about things, just let go and let God do it. Very, very interesting. The little pamphlet that's on the back, this is the Unity book, A Positive Path for Spiritual Living. It talks about, and there's plenty there. Anybody out there wants one, just write us and we'll send one to you. But it says under the nature of humankind, it defines who we are. So this is the unity philosophy. We are each individual external expressions of God. So everybody got that? This is key. This is important to understand. See, if I'm lacking in prosperity, it means that I have forgotten my expression. So it goes on, our essential nature is divine and therefore inherently good. So no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, within you is the Spirit of God. So you're inherently good and you are forgiven. Okay? Then it goes on and says, our purpose is to express our divine potential as realized and demonstrated by Jesus, our master teacher, and other master teachers. So it's not saying Jesus is the only one. We know there have been others. However, Jesus is the example we use in our Christian faith. The more we awaken to our divine nature, in other words, it's a slow awakening. Anybody ever take time to wake up in the morning? I am a slow riser. I acknowledge that. Okay. Usually I wake up when I'm in the shower. Because it takes me time. I have to gradually, the biggest step is making the first step out of bed, okay? And so there's a slow awakening. Now, some of us, that's what's necessary. Some of you jump up bright and cheerful. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. So each of us awakens at a different level. So I can't look at Marty and say, gee, I wish I could do that. Or I can't look at Bruce. See, we all have to look internally at ourselves and our connection with Spirit. And then it goes on and says, okay, the more fully God expresses in and through our lives. So, the kingdom of heaven is within. Our job is to acknowledge the kingdom, to go directly to God, not to ask God for anything. Now, July 14th, we're doing Pat and Ginger are going to do centering prayer at the church office again, and we're going to spend a whole day teaching how to be silent for 20 minutes. Anybody agree that's a big deal? Mm-hmm. Now, after a while, it gets longer, but going through that first step is not easy. And the Bible keeps saying over and over again, close the closet, be still and know that I am God. So maybe the answer completely is to forget about and let go and trust and be in silence. Because the kingdom of heaven is within. Now, that's the message we're talking about over and over again. And that's faith. Faith. Who do I have faith in? See, if I have faith in Bruce, anybody agree? Well, no, I'm not going to go there with Bruce. Let's say it would be unfair. But see, when we have faith in other human beings and in the culture and in the way it's always been done, what do we keep repeating? The way it's been done, which isn't necessarily working. So with that, I have another conversation. A lot of you know that we have done work in the past with Joel Goldsmith. Matter of fact, Joel Goldsmith is actually with the original church I was in. I was ordained with his work. So it says here, and this is in a very, very simple thing about peace. And we are all looking, anybody agree if we're all prosperous and healthy, that peace is there? So peace is the ultimate in this whole thing. So it goes on, it says here, every human attempt to bring peace on earth has failed and failed over a period of thousands of years. Anybody notice that lately? As a matter of fact, things seem to be a little bit more divided, yes? Okay? And then it goes on and says, there remains but one way to bring peace. There remains but one way to bring prosperity. There remains but one way to bring relationships. There remains but one way to bring happiness. And it goes on and says, on earth, and that is through spiritual means. Again, we're back to the idea there's always a spiritual solution to every issue. Instead of looking to each other for love, or instead of looking to outside or each other for happiness, in other words, Madeline or any of you can't make me happy, I have to make myself happy. Okay? So, looking to each other for love, let us forget each other and let us look to God for love. Now, things come to us through other human beings, but what brings that about is the love of God. So the connection is not from me to Bruce or me to Ken or Ned or whomever. Its connection is from me to God, and then God inspires you to love me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking for love, where do I look? Inside. Okay, and where's the world looking? Out there. Out there. And if he would ever just get himself straightened out, everything would be okay. It's always out there. Okay?
It's all their fault.
Yeah, it's their fault. It's called projecting in the psychological terms. But let us forget each other and the impact, and let us look to God for whatever we're needing. So, go back to my notes. I'm going to bring up that last word again, risk. It takes risk to learn to trust. And I've been looking for how do we encourage somebody through that period of time. Those of you that are into natural healing know that you have to go through a detoxification period in order to become healthy. So if you're dealing with a certain disease and you're working on healing it through natural means, generally what happens is the toxins that are creating that have to come into the body from where they're stored and then be allowed to release. Same thing that occurs. How do you encourage somebody through a period of time until they get the Spirit? And I'm still looking for that answer, and I believe it's in with us. And it's an issue of community in relationship and understanding each other and supporting each other. Okay, everything we look for is already there. Okay, there is nothing to learn. Some of you know, we have given up a library of number of books. Kat went through all of them, and a lot of them are gone because they're not needed anymore. The only thing that really matters is the kingdom of heaven and where it is. And so it's within me, it's within you. And it's learning to trust it. So I'm going to suggest that we pick one little thing, whatever it happens to be. It might be your fear of paying the rent. It might be your fear of paying your mortgage. It might be the fear of putting a tank of gasoline in. But just this time, instead of every time that fear, that big bad wolf thought comes in, change it in God's in charge. Mm-hmm. Just take one item and try it for the next week, okay? So I'm going to ask you to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to know when all those thoughts come in that you're a child of God. And that each of us is on our own personal path, demonstrating only the Spirit in our lives and making a difference out there beyond who we are. Because we are an energetic force. And in the board meeting, we said this is a church of miracles, which it is, and I'm seeing miracles. So I encourage you to encourage miracles in your life. And I'm here to support you in that conversation. We love you. Thank you.